So again, brief introduction. My name is Scott Burke. I'm the Cloud Solutions Program Manager here at Imaginet. So I manage our teams in regards to all our BIM 360 or all of the Autodesk BIM 360 offerings. So today's topic, of course, is focusing on the construction solutions in the BIM 360 platform. So again, with the BIM 360 platform in relation to construction, right now with a lot of the tools that we have, there are a lot of good tools out there that help with construction processes, whether it be punch list tools or tools for marking up drawings. But the real issue is that all of them are essentially typically unconnected to each other or cannot be connected to other outside third-party applications and such. So what BIM 360 or what the BIM 360 platform provides is a path from uncertainty to predictability. So we're able to digitize, take all those drawings and convert them to PDFs or AutoCAD files or Revit models and collaborate with anyone we choose. We can integrate and automate those workflows, and then we'll have analytics too. And those analytics will be able to look at issues, problems we're having, and by having and understanding the problems, we can look at ways to improve and keep those problems from happening in the future. So we're always getting continuous improvement to our processes because we have a lot of reporting tools that can kind of give us the big picture. So Autodesk had several of these tools already. So they had BIM collaboration for Revit. They had the classic version, as we now call it, of Glue. We had BIM 360 Field, and even BIM 360 Team. So these are all tools. They all work by themselves very well, but they couldn't really talk to each other, and that was the issue. So Autodesk developed Autodesk Forge, which is a web-based programming language, essentially, for lack of a better term. So they are in the process of essentially rewriting all their key BIM 360 products so that they can interact and integrate into the Forge system. And docs and design are completed, and BIM 360 Build has certain key features already completed and is ready to go there as well. So now we have that Autodesk Forge that this is all built upon, and we have all that product or project data. And the whole point of the Forge is also the fact that you can build third-party applications, or you can allow third-party apps to come into the Forge and pull that data out, pull the data out of your projects, of course, with your permissions and the appropriate credentials. So it's designed to be an open programming language so that anyone can create a third-party app to leverage the data that's there. So again, the BIM 360 platform is really about collaboration, it's coordinated information, it's sharing your designs, both in the field on a tablet device or on PCs. Really pulling the email equation out of that is providing a single place to communicate. That's the real point here. And again, I could be in the office or even on site with my tablet device. When I find an issue, I document it right there, and I'm done. I've already assigned it to a person. I can track it. I've given it a due date. I've categorized it. I've taken photos on site if needed and such. So all that's available to me in this environment. And again, because I have all this data, I'm able to go and see analytics on these processes here and make sure that issues are being dealt with in a timely manner. You know, how many RFIs do I have? How many open issues versus closed issues do I have today? Daily reports, issue reports, things like that are all now available to me through this platform. So again, what this platform is really trying to do is have connected data, allowing it to communicate with itself and other outside tools. There are really, in this case, inside tools, and then extensibility, meaning that it can communicate with those outside parties as well. And again, also, it's access to this data in context anywhere where you are, on your phone, on your tablet device, or on a PC, in the field or in the office. And of course, you have all those project controls now. You can set up standards, you have analytics, and because you have all the analysis information, you're able to optimize your processes, look to where the problems seem to keep happening, and then work to identify where those problems are and eliminate them in the future work. So this right here kind of shows the structure of the Autodesk tools that they have right now. So you can see in the bottom here, we have the administration, of course, and docs. That's the foundation. So BIM 360 Docs, which is a tool in itself, contains the document management for the BIM 360 platform. So all the documents and everything that would be in BIM 360, regardless as to which of the platform tools you're using, are all going to be built on top of Docs. So look at BIM 360 Docs as the garage, and you can see design, glue, build, those are the tools. Do you just need a place to store the car, or do you need to actually work on the car? Okay, and then there's the tools up here that you need. And above that, again, because you will still have access to these, so if you purchase any of the next generation products, as they call them, you still have access to the older versions. For instance, if you're still using Revit 2017, for those people, they would still need to use collaboration for Revit. And the same with Glue. There are older versions of Glue is still available, but then there's, of course, the next generation, which is what we're focusing on today. And even with BIM 360 Field, if you're already using it now, it's not going anywhere. It's just that it's going to be available until the BIM 360 Build can completely replace every feature in it. And even then, there are multi-year projects going on. So BIM 360 Field is still a viable tool. It's great. They're actually still improving it and still adding new functionality as required. But their biggest concentration, of course, is BIM 360 Build. So when we look at kind of where these tools fit, BIM 360 Docs, of course, is that foundation. You can see that kind of spans the whole process, right, from design, pre-construction, construction, execution, commissioning, and handover. Then we have BIM 360 Design, which is really focused on the designers, the architects, the engineers, to work together collaboratively on their designs, and then pass that over to the construction industry, the construction side of the GC. And then we have BIM 360 Glue, which we will be talking about today, which of course is that clash coordination tool that both architects and designers can use at an early stage and during pre-construction, and of course during construction as you're getting shop models in, you're able to confirm that those models don't clash with maybe the architecture or the structural models. And of course you have BIM 360 Field for your field management, or build I should say, for your field management processes. So first we're going to talk about the foundation right here, of course, which is BIM 360 Docs. So again, BIM 360 Docs allows you to publish a PDF file, for instance, or a AutoCAD file or a Revit file into the cloud. And what they're talking about in regards to publish here is that it will then separate all the sheets out as individual sheets so that each sheet can be its own version, yet it's still sourced from a common single document. And then again, it allows you to share this with other project stakeholders that you give licenses to that you have, and you allows you to bring others into your site. And then you have, of course, full control over what they can see and interact with. Obviously here, this is also becoming a viewer. So you can view any of the common design formats that are out there. So right now, BIM 360 Docs basically supports up to 40 different formats right now that are related to design type formats. So PDF, AutoCAD, MicroStation, Navisworks, SolidWorks, Inventor files can all be viewed directly in this environment. So that you don't have to have separate software to download and know how to use just to look at something. So anyone who has enough skill to basically use a tablet device can view a 3D model, can view plans, all of those things. So again, what BIM 360 Docs becomes is that single repository, that single source of truth for all of your data. And like I was mentioning before, the publish function basically automatically reads text off your PDF files in that case, and then names the sheets based on what it sees in the title blocks. It'll automatically in a PDF connect all the callouts together. And of course, if it's a Revit file, then Revit already understands sheet separation. It will pull that out. If you put an AutoCAD file up, it'll break out the layout tabs as sheets. And again, you also have, as I showed you before, the ability to control access, either by role of a person on a project, their username, or what company that they belong to. And again, it's also that mobile access. So wherever you go, you're able to access that data, both 2D and 3D. And if it's a Revit object or even AutoCAD for that matter, you can select the objects and get the properties from those. So again, leveraging all that data that is in that model and allowing anyone who has access to the site the ability to get access to that data, read it, understand it. And of course, another important part here is markups and issue management. and reporting on those issues are all now available as just part of the core Docs platform. So just the core Docs platform actually does a lot. And then, of course, there are higher levels of issue management when we get into the BIM 360 build product. But again, the BIM 360 Docs, like I was mentioned before, becomes, again, that single source of truth. So we always have the right version, the right type of file. It's available to everyone. We can track access to everything. And basically, everything that everyone's done in the system is essentially trackable. So I can see all of that. So next here, now that we have our documents in place, we start looking at BIM 360 Glue. So BIM 360 Glue's purpose, especially during pre-construction and early construction execution, is clash coordination. It's taking these AutoCAD 3D or Revit models, pulling them into the system and making sure that your ductwork and structure work together, where there are no unintended clashes or any of those things. So that is what it's intended for. It's all part of the system. If you buy access to the module, you access it from the same place. You keep your models in Docs. Again, everything is in that one place, that single kind of source of truth. And you're able to take those models, filter the ones you want to see, and then see all the clashes. And there's different ways that you can group the clashes. You can filter them by the MEP objects first and how many things interact with a duct, or a structural element first and how many things interact with a structural element. So all of those there allow you to do these things all within that one environment. And now that you've kind of finished your model coordination and you're working with that in the construction process, of course, you're now looking at BIM 360 Build. Again, built on top of Docs, so Docs is still there as your master document management tool. And now you're using BIM 360 Build to manage quality control, safety on the job site. Regular checklists of any type. You can create your own checklists, set them up and customize them the way you want to, meaning their content and the response types. And then people can then fill those checklists out on the tablet device. And when there are issues or negative responses, issues will be generated. Those will all be tracked. And right in the field with that tablet device, you're able to pull a drawing up, put a marker in, mark it up, create an issue or an RFI, and then take that information and say, here's an issue, I'm assigning it to this person, company, or role. It needs to be done by this date. Here are some photos to support it, and so on, but all done right in the field. No more going back to the job site or the office and re-entering that data or having all that paper you used to print out. This truly does eliminate need for any paper on the job site. If everyone has a tablet device, they have full access to all the documents for construction. And you also know that those documents are always up to date. And that's always the biggest challenge in the field, right? You print out a set of documents. The second that's printed, it's out of date. Because maybe 2 days later, the architect, designer, someone changes that file. Now we have to find a way to make sure that that gets out to everyone. If you're using BIM 360, the file you look at is always the most recent one. If someone updates it, they update it in the cloud. It gets pushed out to all the tablet devices. They now see the latest changes and or addendums, and that's the key here. And again, with BIM 360 Build, the capabilities currently are quality control, again, through checklists, job site safety management, submittal tracking, daily reporting, RFI tracking, and of course collaborating and assigning issues and things to other people on the team. So right now I actually want to continue on a little bit here because I'd like to show the software that's important to me is to really see these things live. But again, you can also set all of those permissions as to what people can do. You know, what can they do with checklists or permissions, or what's the RFI workflow, all of those things there. And again, those checklists that you can build, quality, safety, punch list, checklist, or commissioning checklists can, of course, be created in the system here. And, of course, you can track and manage all your issues. And then at the end, of course, you can get reports on those issues. And that's the key thing here, is you can get an itemized list of issues, or you can get detailed issue reports if needed. And again, all of this is really done, though, through the portal here, through the tablet device in the field. So most of build is really not done on the PC or in the office. Most of field's purpose is to be used in the field. Yes, there is setup and management for the project managers in the software, but the actual execution of the building process and the checklists and things are all going to be in the field through this tool. And again, you have all types of issues. You can create many different categories, customized categories of issues. So that's fully customizable. It has a set of standard types, but you can change any of those or just not use any of the ones that come out of the box and create your own categories, subcategories, even custom parameters or attributes for additional response types if needed. Can all be created, within that system. And again, like I was saying before, at the end we have this insight area where we can go in and see reports, field issues, checklists, RFIs. We're able to analyze that information and see reports and customize this. And we can even now add third-party company to these cards. So I could have a job site live webcam, and that could be part of your dashboard on your project, showing live updates to the site if that's what you want. Even several of those cameras can all be accessed through this tool. So right now I'm going to go ahead and jump into the actual software here. So we'll go over here to BIM 360. So let me go ahead and open up my portal there. Turn that off. Need that. So again, everything here is primarily web-based. There's nothing that's basically installed on your local PC. So you do all of that, basically in the cloud here. So let me go ahead and go into my BIM 360 platform here. I'm going to log in with my credentials. And it's going to take me to my last project that I was in. So now we're looking at a page. I'm inside my Food Mart project here. You can see up along the top that I can select any other project here or even change companies that I'm working for data. Right here would allow me to change my account. And if I was invited to someone else's project, I could access that project from there. So these are all the ones within my own account here. And again, I would select my project or do a search for it up here. I could type in Food Mart here and find it and click on that. And of course, it takes me to the project that I'm currently in. So in here, I have two special areas. I have my plans area and I have my project files area. My project files area is the area where you keep supporting documentation, or if you're working in Revit in a live manner, that's where you would keep that data. The top section here, the plans, is where you're going to be keeping your official documents. So if you're in the field managing a project, these are actually going to be the folders you're using the most when it comes to the working documents. The construction documents are all going to be stored in this location. Now I have this broken up in a certain way that makes sense for maybe doing demos here. You may just have one folder in here, or not even. Some clients just use this as one kind of master folder. And they might have some addendums, but all the main drawings are right at the root directory. Again, it's whatever process works for you. But I had this broken down just to kind of show you the different categories of things that I've set up. So for instance, I do have right here a folder called Approved Construction Document. So when I share this with an outside contractor, this may be the only folder I'm sharing with them. The rest of the folders they won't see, because these are my kind of almost official, but I haven't quite approved them for construction yet. And it would be a process I'll show later about how that works. So in this folder, when I select that, I'm only going to see documents here that are, the status, as you can see, is either approved or approved with comments and such. So these are all the approved documents. And again, the construction team would only see this if I have to send an update. It would become version 2, and they'd be able to see that. Now, if I put a Revit file up in this environment, then it automatically will break it down based on some published settings you have in Revit into the sheets. And if any 3D views you would like to be part of this would also be here. So we're looking at all these files. What we're really looking at is 3 Revit models. That's it. There's only 3 Revit models here. Yet I was able to extract from those Revit models the architectural sheets, the MEP sheets, the structural sheets. So you can see here, A, E, M, P, and S for structural. So these are really just sourced out of 3 files, yet it knows to pull the sheets out. And there's settings in Revit that you use to do that. So now I can go directly into my main level. And again, this can be done on the tablet device. This can be done through the PC like I'm showing you here. So I'm in that first floor plan, and you'll already notice here that I have several markups. I have issues on this sheet. I have all of that, and I'll go into that in a little while here. So I can get and navigate to any of my sheets, obviously zoom and pan and see everything. I can pick an object like this shelf unit here and get information about that when I go to properties here, or the properties for that object. As I move around, if I pick this door, you can see I get properties for that door. You can see it's a double flush, double action. Just make that a little bit bigger here. So all that metadata, all of the parameter data is within these models, these views here. I can even take that door here and select it, and I can isolate the door. So that's the only thing I can really see is the main thing, isolated. And of course I can come back in here and show all the objects again. So again, really powerful tool. So moving on, so I just want to talk about a few more things here, then we'll get into issue management and markups and such. So I can also, like I mentioned before, if I can place AutoCAD files up here, if I place an AutoCAD file in plans, then it will automatically break it out into the model space and then any layout tabs. So within this file, I have an A01 layout tab. So that's a sheet, and there it is. And if I go to the next sheet here, this is an addendum, but it's both of those are within there, and this is just in a large area of the corner of the building here. So that's addendum 1. So again, I have full viewing capabilities here. If I want to, although it's less valuable than Revit, I can pick a line and get properties for it and figure out, what the property of that is. If it's a block, I would get block information, of course. If I pick the door here or something, I see that it is a door, it's a block family as opposed to just a line object. So that information is still available to me. I can turn layers on or off just like I was working in AutoCAD. I mean, yeah, basically that is if I was working in AutoCAD, I could turn layers on or off and such. And right here, you can see those layers there. So again, I can just select these little eyeball symbols right here, turn off interior walls, turn off the wall patterns, turn off just the walls in general here, as you can see. So I have full access to that model, that view. Now, for PDF files, if I place a PDF file here, this is actually a 7-page PDF file, yet we see it as individual sheets. So when I upload the PDF file, it actually uses text recognition to go in, read the information off the title block, and then separate out the sheets. So when I'm uploading that PDF file, it sees that it's a PDF file, it sees it as a multi-sheet file, and then it asks you to apply your title block to it. And what a title block basically is in this example here is a tool that you use to extract data from the title blocks in a PDF file. So right here I have a title block, and basically what happens when you first come in and upload a PDF file is it says, hey, where is the data that you would like me to extract out of the sheets? So I would come down over here and say, well, the data is over here, roughly. Okay, this is where the data is next. Then it's going to say, okay, where is the sheet number? Well, the sheet number is going to be here. As soon as I do that, you can see that it reads it right out, A01. Where is the title? Well, the title of the drawing is going to be up here. It just read the title. And then I created a custom parameter for scale. Where's the scale? Well, the scale is always going to be down in this area. And there you can see it just read the scale. So it actually uses text recognition to read that. This could be a hand-scanned document. It was even hand-drafted as long as it's legible and clear. It would be able to use text recognition to read the data. And I can create more parameters to pull more of the data off the title block. It can certainly be far more than just these 3. So, but I set it up so I can do that. And then I would save that, then I would apply it to the sheets. It would process them all. And when the process is completed, I would see the sheets as I have here. And then I can select each sheet individually. That way, if later on I come in and I update the set and add an 8 to it, at sheet 8, then sheets 1 through 7 would actually be version 2, and sheet 8 would actually be version 1 within the same document. So these are all really powerful tools that really allow you to leverage these models to make this truly a paperless workflow, both in the office and in the field. Even for architects, you could be using this to just do all your markups now and leave the markup process now that's for many firms still technically in the 16th century, right? Where we're just using red pens and yellow highlighters. We're now finally taking the markups and the issues and things like that and putting it into a situation where I can manage all of them. So this is true for AutoCAD, Revit, or PDF files like I'm in. You can see right here, these are all the markups. And I could select any of the markups here and go to any of them. So just selecting the markup here allows you to navigate directly to that specific markup, as you can see here. So I can just select these, and it will again take me to those markups. I can see that it's published. Everyone can see it. This person made it on March 12th. So now I see all that information if I need to view it that way. If I have the proper privileges, I can go to a particular issue here, and I can edit that if needed and add more things to it, or maybe I need to move the text over like that or whatever I need to do that. Anything along those lines I can, of course, modify. or add more information there, as you can see. Move that around or select it there. So now I can do any of those things or just delete it, whatever I basically need to do, fill things out, whatever. I just want to discard those changes. I don't want to keep them here. I also have issues here. As you can see, I can click on that issue marker and get information. So this is an answered issue. Are there any attachments? Yes, here's the attachment. The door needed to move over. So someone took that and created that issue in the field. And that's issue number 95. And notice here I can even edit the markup. I can add an attachment to the markup if I want to, or I can archive it and say that it's essentially closed. So I have that information available to me. On the plan itself, I can create my own hyperlinks. So this one right here actually goes me to the detail sheet for that piece of equipment. And I can manually add a hyperlink and attach the hyperlink to a photo. So maybe right here is a view of that elevator that I wanted to show someone, or the way that up-down arrow indicator is kind of built into the ceiling. They're not a good design. So I can put that information in there. I put photos. I could stand there, take a photo. Hey, here's what it looks like now. Here's my current status report of what we did today. And you can take a photo and use an issue for that. Because issues themselves aren't necessarily negative things. And you'll also notice here that callouts are created. Whenever you put a PDF file up, obviously Revit, the callouts are naturally connected when you upload them. Here, it automatically scanned the drawing, found anything that looked like a callout, and connected it. So it saw right here that there's a sheet called A06. It found that there is a callout type object in the file, so it created a hyperlink to that callout object. So that wasn't anything I had to do, it did it itself natively. So I can click on that and then click the drawing and go to the callout. And then I could use my return function here, and you can see there are other connections here. This one here would actually take me right back to the plan, or I can hit the return button here and go back to where I started. Any issues that are listed on this project are also listed here. So I have, of course, like I just showed, all the markups. Here are all my issues. So I can select any of these issues here. So maybe like there's a cracked pipe right here. We've got to fix this. So there's a hole in there. Are there any attachments to that? Nope, no attachments yet. Maybe I want to send someone in the field, hey, can you go to the field for issue number 56 here, and I want you to verify that the hole is there. So I might go in and say, okay, it's an open issue. I better change I'm not the owner because I'm the owner here, but I want to change maybe who this is assigned to. So right now, I could assign this to someone else. So I could go through the list here and say, John Jones is actually responsible for this now. And if there's any location information, I could come in here and specify, where in the building that is. If there's a location. So right here, it's in the seafood area, or I could change that to maybe that's actually not in the seafood area, but down in, let's see, we'll just call it down in the cooler here. So that's where that really is. And I do those things because then I can filter my issues by where things are. So now I'm tracking issues, RFIs, everything on the site here. If I want to create a new one, maybe there's a crack in the pole here or something like that. We need to fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the master list here and say, I need to create an issue. We were on site, we found a problem. Create an issue. I can come over here, put my issue marker in. I like to always have an issue marker there. And I can track this. Well, what is this? It's an observation when I was in the field, right? And it's a quality issue. It's an open issue, and crack in column. Not good. And I assign that to who needs to fix that. Well, I should probably assign that to the structural engineer, right? And I have a due date. I need this resolved by Wednesday of next week. And again, where's the location? I just say it's in the main building. Who's the owner, of course? What's the root cause of this? Is it a design coordination? Was it a document conflict? Or was it a quality issue? Or was it an installation issue? Maybe it's an installation issue. I say small crack in column here. Needs to be fixed. As soon as I hit create, that email just went off to that person. They're now assigned to that. They would then come into the system and then see what the issue is. With BIM 360, the only purpose of email in the process, and the only purpose, is a notification tool. It does not contain any data. You do not communicate via email other than you notify people that they're assigned to something. All communication about an issue or anything happens in the system. So nothing is basically communicated within the email environment unless you have all the data in one place. For any issue that I have here, I can select it, And I can see all activity on that issue. I can see that I came in and I created it and I signed all these things. I did all that. And down the bottom here, as for each step of this review or whatever, I could type in more comments. Comments, there we go, and send that. So now I have more comments on that attached to it. Again, if I'm in the field, I could take a photo and add that, or I can go to the attachment tool here, browse. Either I could have dragged and dropped a file up right now, or maybe I want to connect this to a spec book or something like that under project specifications here. So I want to come in there, and under project specifications, I can go ahead and select, what spec that issue belongs to or what it should be under. I'm just going to pick something general there. So now that's an attachment. It's part of this issue that can now be tracked. And I can even take this issue and export it now out as an exported PDF report, which would give you full details of the report, pictures of any images or anything that I've attached to it would all be included with that. So these are all the issues and markups and things on this drawing. RFIs work in the same way, where I can select an RFI, pick a point, and it would go through my RFI process. Now, also, when I do have an issue, what I always like to do also is just to clarify the issue here. So I'll go into my markup tools. I'll select the cloud here, and then I'll go ahead and I'll change, I'll put that cloud in, based on what I want. Once it's there, I can come in and I can control color, line weight. I can put fill in it if I wanted to, or I can even delete it, but I like it where it is. I can, of course, add additional ones here, or just use the move tool to move it around if it's not exactly where I want it, or change its shape. I could use freehand tools here to maybe to circle this, and this would be great on a tablet, right? You could use a stylus. Maybe I'll just point to that, like so. And then I could, of course, put some text here. And if I don't like that text height, I can go ahead and I can modify the text color, the text size here. So you can decrease the text or increase it there. You'll just put it right there and say crack. Of course, I can take the box there and shorten it up if I need to. And I want to take this markup and make it a published markup, because I can have my own set of personal markups here. Or again, I can go over to publish and publish that markup and save it. Now, if there was someone in the field that was walking around the field, they're instantly sent an email. They could open up their iPad, and they'd be able to pick this issue, and it would take them right to this view. So if I close out of this, up top here, see I have a master issue area. If I select that, I can, of course, see every single issue in the project here. So now I can even filter these issues. So show me only issues that are open, or coordination, or observation issues like the one I just created. So now I'm filtering this list to only show issues that are observations. And then, but only show me ones that are open. So it filters the list further. And then I could even say ones that are assigned to, John Jones. So these are all the issues that are related to that person, and they're all past due. That's why they're red. Red here. So I can see that they're assigned to John Jones. Here's the company he works for. Here's the due date, and here are any linked documents that might be part of those issues. So we got some problems here. We got to get these resolved, especially these old ones back from November 2018. I could go in there, and it's an observation. Oh, this was fixed. They just didn't answer it. So maybe I'm going to take this and change it to work completed or ready to inspect, or just close the issue entirely. And again, I could have more. I can modify the subtype, or add more notes in here, or add further attachments if there are any, or browse and pick other documents, and again, see all the activity on this list here, or on this issue number 13. So again, you have that master place to see all issues for the whole project. So that's an incredibly powerful tool here to be able to see all of that. And I can even take this list and export it out as an Excel or a CSV report of the list itself. I can go into each issue and export that out as a singular issue report, or there's another place I'll go later, I'll show you that I can just print all the issues out in a singular report with showing all the detail if that's what I want to do. So those are all kind of new things that have been introduced recently when it comes to some of those reporting tools here. So now I have all that information here. Another thing I like to show, and again, this is still, everything I'm kind of showing you here still is really just docs. except for the RFIs and submittals, definitely part of build. So if I go in here and a new PDF file, a new Revit file is sent to me. So let's start with PDF. So you notice here that there's actually been 3 versions of this file. So let me click on the version number. There are all the versions, and I can download any version I want, even make version 2 the current version. Maybe there was a mistake on the 3rd one. We decided not to make that change. We're going back to 2. You can change it here. Also, what you can do, and one of my favorite tools, is compare versions. So I want to compare version 1 against version 3 and hit compare. So this is a PDF file. So I'm still able to see all the changes. So right here from versions 1, which is blue, to version 3, the current, which is red. So these are all the things in red are new, blue things are where they were. So you can see where things were and where new things on top of them here. You can see these shells were probably, one was deleted, one was rotated, and so on. And if I want to better understand, it's a little cluttered here, what really happened in this area? So I'm going to change my overlay mode here to side by side. I can see up in the right-hand corner, that's version 1, the left-hand corner is version 3. And now I can take the slider here and basically take this slider and move it back and forth across this so I can actually see what is basically changed. So again, really powerful tool there. Off there. So that's one of my favorites again, is that I'm instantly able to see all the changes in the drawing and understand where I have to pay attention to things, because now I know where to go specifically. You know, for instance here, they put electrical panels in, but in this jurisdiction we have to have a box around it, basically walls. It has to be its own room. So that was the addition. They added walls around the electrical area. And again, I can exit that. So this is with a 2D file. What I just showed you can also be done exactly the same way with AutoCAD files. But if you have a Revit object here, you get a much more comprehensive ability to basically do that type of coordination here. So if I select the 3D view in this case, and I do compare versions, and I want to compare 2D and 3D, and I'll hit compare. Because Revit is intelligent and populated with intelligent objects, the clash reporting I can do for Revit is much, much more powerful than I can do for PDF and or AutoCAD. So right now it's going through processing those changes, and then it's going to display them for me. So this gives it a few seconds here to do that. And then we'll have a change request kind of management dialog box, as you see right there. So now I have that ability to go into this drawing, and with nice, easily to see colors, I'm able to see all the changes here. So I can isolate those changes to only show me things that are that have been added. These are elements here that have all been basically added to the project here. So I've added all of those things in. Show me things that have been removed. Here are all the objects that have been deleted on the model. Okay. Show me things that have just simply been modified. These are the things that have been modified. See this modifications to the ceiling and some of the walls. And if I kind of just go down here and I select the door, that's one of the elements that's been modified. So we can look here and I can see that it was changed in the model right here. I can see what the change was. And I can see where that object was right here and where it is now. So it used to be over here in the original, and it was been moved. If I go ahead and I select a wall or any other object here, like this one, used to be over there, now it's over here. So now I have not only a way to view the changes in context, meaning in the model, which is alone a powerful tool. After I've kind of identified where all the issues are and such, and I'll just turn them all back on here, I can use this tool right here to download a CSV file, essentially Excel, with an itemized list of all the changes in the drawing from versions 1 to versions 3, if that's something I need to get a record of. So now I have that. So this can be done in 2D, this can be done in 3D in Revit plans, same exact process. Now if I'm in a 2D view, the changes are actually going to be different numbers, because it's only going to show me the changes that are in that drawing. So the model's nice. The model will show you all changes to the model. When you go into a drawing, it'll change you all changes to the model in that view, and any changes, of course, to annotation as well. So those would be seen. So again, this alone is, as I like to say, worth the price of admission. This is a tool that people have been asking for years, the ability to compare versions against each other to see what changed. Because sometimes it's just really impossible when you're working on a complex model like Revit to remember everything that you touched and tell someone that you're sending the file to, hey, these are the things that we've changed. Granted, they'll probably bubble some areas showing revisions, but there are still so many things you do in the model that you change that it's good to really be able to see what really changed here. So again, really powerful tool. So everything I've kind of shown you here too really is just docs. Docs even has a review process. So I could take these drawings here, one or several of them, and basically submit them for a review. So if I hit submit for review, I would pick a review process. So I have an issued for construction review process, which means it'll take these two drawings now, it will send them to a specified individual for review, then that person will review it, send it to the next individual for review, and then send it to the final individual to basically accept them and bring them into the project. Once those reviews have been completed and the drawings have been approved, then they would be, in this case, I've set it up that way, so that approval process copies the file into the approved construction document folder, which is the only one that the contractors have access to. And you go up top here, you can see your reviews. So right here, they're all closed or they're avoided, so this is a review right here. And when I select it, I can see the process that were submitted to the reviewer, submitted to the approver, submitted to the final review. So that's the steps and when they were done. So all of that is fully tracked. Again, coming back out here, there are also transmittals where I can basically just select drawings that I want to send out, and it becomes a transmittal. So any file in the system, I can collect them together and export them out. Then anyone else who has access to the system can come in, see that here's a transmittal number 3 check set, and they can download all the files as a zip file. And you can see the process over here, the received, who sent it, the recipient, and so on. So we have a lot of power here with that tool as well. So again, I'm now thinking about more of the construction process here. And I want to be able to go in and during pre-construction, I want to do some quick clash detection. So we'll go to model coordination here. Under model coordination, I have it pointed to a specific folder that I'm using for clashing. And I'm going to go in here and I want to select my MEP file and my structural file here that I want to use for clash detection, and I'll hit view. So now it'll show me to the left those two files that are selected, and then it will allow me to see any clashes that are between those two models. So I don't have to set up anything. It automatically already did the clash report. All I have to do is hit my clash list. Here are my clash objects. So let's select that duct. I can see that there are 3 clashes with it, and let me select it. And there they are. Let's go to this one. So there's a conduit that's penetrating the ceiling, the floor there. I can see there's a round duct right here going through that joist and so on. So I can order this by MEP or structure, because now I want to pick a structural element, and I want to know how many things are clashing with that one bar joist, which is these 2 ducts. So the order of the clashing can be changed at any time, the grouping here, if you will. Now maybe you run into something that, well, it's supposed to do that, or it's a flexible duct right here, right? So that's not really a clash, right? It's flexible duct. I just go around it, easy enough, right? So it's a tiny, tiny clash. You can see it there. So you could actually come in here and say with that object there that that's not a clash. So when you're looking at, some of these clashes here, maybe that's an okay clash. I could go in there, select it, and either make an issue of it, or basically it's not an issue because it's a valid penetration, or it's a minimal overlap, and it would pull that out of the master list and put it into a bucket of closed issues that I can open and reactivate at any time. So I can see any issue here. Once I find an issue, again, I can either dismiss it or make it an issue like this. And then I put an issue marker here on that structural element. Now it's an issue. It gives you the Revit ID numbers. I can assign this issue to maybe, the MEP person or whoever's supposed to basically be working on this. And I need it done. This issue needs to be resolved by the 11th. So I'm assigning essentially the clash resolution here to that individual. They select that right here, and then I can come in and I can go back to my master list over here. I'm going to go back to my master list of issues for the project. So again, remember that docs is that master repository for everything. So I come back here, Here's my master issue list. I will see on the left, and when it comes up here, it'll see that issue listed there. I can see the details of it. And the main thing I want to look at here is I select that. I can see the files that it's pertaining to here. So here's an issue right here, and that issue is with that particular duct, right? So there's that issue right here, and I can take that number. Let's copy that. Now I can go into the drawing that issue is referring to, and I can go in and I can use the Model Explorer to find that object. So right here, I can go over here to my model browser, I should say. And it takes you to it there too, as you can see. But so that will take me to that issue right here, issue 98, which is that clash in this drawing here. Or I can open up any drawing if I want to go into a more comprehensive drawing. So I already have that issue pinpointed, right, meaning the ID number. When I go back over here to document management, I can go into one of my, any of my models, because they're all the same ID numbers and such. So if I go over here, I'll go back into my Revit, not AutoCAD, sorry. I go into my Revit sheets there. So inside my Revit sheets, I can go back into here. I can go inside that model, use that same tool to identify that area, to find that duct. So now I'll open that model. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn off the roof there and hide that selected element, as you can see here. Then I can use my Model Explorer to find that object, and there it is, and there's the clash. So now I'm able to kind of round trip that. Now I know where it is. I can go to my Revit file, change it, upload the new model, version 4 now. Everything's been updated, maybe print some PDFs from it, whatever I need to do. So that essentially is the BIM 360 tool, BIM 360 glue tool. Now, if I want to create checklists, submittals, things like that, all of that's managed here. So if I go into my project, or one of the first parts I want to go into is project management, this is where we're going to see our submittals and RFI tools. RFIs are very similar to issues, other than with an RFI, you actually create a very specific workflow. And you can see this, the RFIs are listed differently here, but otherwise they're the same. There are submittals. So in the submittal tool, what you do is you create these packages that you send out to the individual respondees, so your contractors, subcontractors, whatever. They respond to the package, give you information that you're requesting, and then you take those packages and basically, or those items, I should say, here, and put them in distribution packages. So it goes into the submittal package, and then that gets submitted for approval there. So that's basically the process. If you go over here under, quickly here under Project Admin, this is where I manage that. This is where I'm managing the RFI. See, I have a creator, a manager, and a reviewer. And I can change that workflow to include a secondary reviewer. And then I get down here and I specify who's allowed to create them, who's allowed to manage them, who is a reviewer. So when you do our RFI, unlike an issue, it follows a very distinct process. For submittals, I just come in here and I set basically who is a manager of that submittal process, and that's done here. Moving on, I want to go over here to issues and such. So I can, or into, let's say, field management. I'll start here. So field management is where I basically would set up my templates and things and my permissions for my project when it comes to checklists. So I'm coming in here and I'm giving different rights to the checklist. Who has full control of the templates? Someone has no access. They have basic, meaning they can just grab one and use it. Here, what do they have for checklist control themselves? So I control all of that. And then when I go into field management here, I can go into the template area. These are where all the checklists are created, managed, and edited. So these are the masters, if you will. I can go in and I can control the order of these things. I can edit that right here. And I can say, hey, I want this question here, moved down. So I can grab it, move it here, and look, it renumbered it. So now that's 1.1 and that's 1.2, or move it back. I can change the response type to pass, fail, or multiple choice. If I make it a multiple choice, then I tell it of the multiple choice answers, which one is the non-conforming answer. So I can do that as well. Or again, back to yes, no, or pass, fail. So I can change all of those, add different sections, and so on. And I'll leave that. And then I can go to the checklist. These are the checklists that are in progress. So I can see any checklist is completed, any checklist is in progress. I can filter by punch list, quality, safety checklist, any of those things, whatever you want. I can go into the checklist, I can see its status. I can see that some of these checklists may actually have an issue. See, this one failed, and because it failed, it generated issue 55. And if I go ahead and select that, I can get the information for issue number 55 if it's linked to any documents. Are there any attachments assigned to that? I would see all of that right here. So as you fill your checklist out in the field, when there are negative responses, you can create the issue right there. Or if I want, I can take this checklist and export this one checklist out as a PDF report. I can archive the checklist. I can go back to the master list. I can export a report showing me the status of all the checklists if I want to. So that's all available to me here. So this is essentially where all the checklists are managed and set up for the project. So you're in the field, you'd hit create a new checklist, you'd base it on right here, or you'd create a new one, a new instance of an existing checklist, and so on through the list here. So I'm just going to back out of that because I don't want to put anything in yet. You can even import checklists in from import templates, or to import it from even the classic field if you're using that, if you need to create a new checklist here. And right here, if I want to create a checklist, meaning these are the templates, I want to create this carpentry checklist, I'd create it. And then it would ask me, okay, the checklist is created, who are you going to assign the checklist to? Bob Smith here. And what's the location? It's going to be in the main building in the entry. And it needs to be done on the 10th. And what type of checklist is it? This is a punch list, and there's no description in that. So that's been assigned. So now that I've done this, that's an assigned checklist. It's just been assigned to that individual. They need to go in and basically now fill that checklist out. So they pull their iPad up, synchronize it in the office, go to the field, fill out the checklist. Again, if there's a no here, when you fill that out in the field, that will automatically generate a template for the issue, and then you fill out the issue information. So all of that, again, managed through this one place. Then again, you're in the field, you have daily logs. So you can say, hey, I want to create a log for today. So right here, get the weather then. So this would get you the weather from the job site. Fills out the weather. You could add any notes about the weather if you wanted to. Down here, you could put in your labor. So maybe I want to come in and I want to start adding labor items here. So MEP installers had 4 workers. They were all here all day, so that was 32 hours. Okay, I can add another row. Okay, how many people were from the structural company? Oh, there's just one. He was an inspector. He was inspecting some steel connections. He was there for half the day. So now I have 5 workers, 36 hours. And any general notes I want down here. And then, of course, I would hit publish, and that becomes a locked, published report for that day. That anyone can come in here and get that report, pull that information out. You can go to the date tool here and look at any other date to either create or read a report that's already there. Now that I've done all my field management, whatever I'm in the process, I can again go to my Insight tab here in my Project Home. So if I go to Project Home, this is kind of the universal page that everyone would have access to, and you can customize this how you want people to see that and whether or not you want the ability for them to customize it. So this is the Project Home page. Has weather, project address, if you're using BIM 360 design packages, checklists that are assigned to me, all project checklists. So you can either see all project checklists or just the ones I am supposed to deal with. And you can actually click right on them here and take you to the checklist. Here are project field issues, and I can come in here and say just issues that are related to me that I am responsible for responding to. Or again, all project issues. If you don't like the order of these, open RFIs as submittals. Maybe you want to move these around, right? I hit customize right here. I can take these cards and move them. So maybe I want that card here, and I want this card over here. So that looks better, and I'll save that change. Now, like I was saying before, maybe I have a job site camera, and I use one of those services that provide that. So I go to Customize here, Card Library, and you can see down here that there are different companies that I can basically bring their cards in, EarthCam, Drone Deploy, Hollow Builder, Oxblue. There's other tools here that I can basically display, Power BI, Sincera here. So you can actually integrate those with the page right here, so you can use those. So when you customize this page, it can really be a very much a live, like I said, there could be dozen cameras you have here for viewing the site. Now, when you're in Project Home, you can now move over here to the higher level analytics insight. So this is the higher level of analytics, more for the managers of the project, where the other one could be for everyone. This is the one just for very specific individuals that you give access to the Insight tab. So in this case here, it's the certain types of reports, but are more for, in this case, quality. So these are quality reports, issue root causes, checklist conformance, things like that. I have ones for my safety conformance. You know, safety conformance. What companies have the most issues or safety observations, right? Open versus closed. Then we have project controls here, where again, these could be higher level things, open in open RFIs and submittals, RFI activity, active versus closed types of tests here. And again, when you hit customize, there are different cards that you can come in here and add them to this field. So you can either filter them up top here, let's just by the partner cards, so you have the partners, or show me just the safety cards, or whatever you want to put in this list. I don't want to cancel that though. Then we have the reports page. So the reports page allows you to gather any of those reports I showed you that you manually created inside of each of them here. Or right now at the moment I have the ability to create a saved an issue detail report, which would be a detailed report on all issues in the project. So this is actually a new feature. And this is actually the only time in the system that you can actually edit this and then share it with someone outside of the system. They don't need a license. In other words, you can send this report to not only people in the company here like that, you can actually just type in an email address and send that to people, send this report to people outside of the project. So when you do create that report here, let me just minimize all that, it looks like this. So this is the issue report, which I actually already have open. There we go. So there's a cover page, then it creates a table of content. Here are all the issues. I can actually click on any of these issues to take me to the page. This is my cat sitting on the table there. So I can go back to the top here. Again, go to any of these other issues, you know, the seafood sign status, and there was an issue here for that on the door or whatever. So that, and it was created on this date. So any photos and attachments like that are shown up in these issues. This one was voided out. There's another open issue. And actually in these issues, I can go in and look at that. There's a hyperlink. If I click on that, it'll actually take me to the checklist in BIM 360. So I can actually click these things. So hyperlinks in here, if I have access to BIM 360, obviously if I'm an outside person, I wouldn't be able to get in, but I'd have to report. But if I am part of BIM 360, part of the project, there are hyperlinks in these reports to take you back into the system. Because really, your purpose is that might just be a hard copy record you want. Anything really active should be in the system, stay in the system. That's the point of this. So everything's driving you to keep all your data here, not to silo it into other locations. So although they'll provide those written reports because it's an understood necessity, the real detail of anything would be done by clicking on that. If I click on this here, instead of taking me to the checklist, this would take me to the actual issue in the system. And then once I've done that, I could then, if it's attached to a drawing or so on, I could, of course, select that drawing down there. So that's all I basically had to show today, which I know was probably quite a bit. So I can open it up to a few questions here.
Well, it looks like we don't have any questions right now at this time, but thank you so much for presenting. This was recorded, and we'll send out a copy.
All right, then. So if there are